The truth of the matter in our city right now is that we are at a critical juncture. We have a housing crisis that has been decades in the making that's becoming significantly worse over the past few years. We have a mental health, addictions, and homelessness emergency that cities are ill-equipped to handle alone. We have an affordability dilemma that's magnified by federal and provincial downloading or underfunding, an extreme economic uncertainty caused by irrational trade wars, vindictive tariffs, and constantly changing American foreign policy from our neighbor. These massive impacts on our city have little to do with Guelph itself. They may not be our fault, but they have become our responsibility. So I will not pretend ever that these times are easy. For many, getting by day to day has become more and more challenging, and we certainly cannot lose sight of their struggle. Yes, I can directly connect the dots between government downloading to local social disruption, acute housing failures, to municipal tax pressures, but that acknowledgement alone doesn't solve the crisis. So, we are taking action, and we face the headwinds, not of our making, but Guelph will not face them unprepared. Ready, set, and Guelph. And I believe this State of the City theme is particularly appropriate right now. Over the past year, actually for several years now, Guelph has been laying the foundations for our present and our future, addressing what is upon us now and getting ready for what is to come. Now we are set to build upon all the great policies and frameworks that we needed to establish so our actions would have the highest and best outcomes for our residents, our businesses, and our community. We are ready to prepare, we are set to act, and for Guelph to lead. So much of our future success will build upon what we have done together in the past. Guelph is ready. Of course, much of the city's attention for the past few years has been on housing. It dominates a large portion of discussions at City Hall, and we have been taking action to address the growing crisis. Now, on the screen right here, you will see a very big check. I call it the Happy Gilmore check. Do you remember that movie where he had all the big checks in the back of his car? But this is what came from the province of Ontario. Now, the person not on the left, which is me, but the person on the right who is holding the corner of that check. You see, politicians will often love to take the praise. I don't mind it every now and then myself. But that's Jeremy Lauer. Jeremy is our chief building official at the City of Guelph. No one probably hardly ever knows that guy or what he does. But when we had to prove issues with the government around how many housing starts that we had, it was a no. They weren't going to give us any money at all. Jeremy found proof, hidden away somewhere, that we were able to use to get the government of Ontario to give us that money. To give Jeremy a huge round of applause. That's because of him, not because of fully me. So when he found that information, I had to make a lot of phone calls. I had to nudge some people a little bit. I had to leverage some of my contacts and politely encourage the province to ask the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation. It's actually their numbers that was the problem, not the province. And once the accurate numbers were used, we were awarded $3.7 million from the Building Faster Fund for achieving the housing targets. With 1,279 new home starts, this was the second year in a row that we met our provincial housing targets. And so Guelph will now use this type of funding to unlock more housing. Ontario has even acknowledged in its own economic statements that its own housing projections are likely unattainable. Certainly, Guelph's 2025 housing starts declined significantly due to economic conditions beyond our control. We aren't alone in this trend, though which seems to be more of an Ontario problem than a Canada problem. Housing starts in 2025 were down 13% across the province, or down 24% for single detached dwellings. Higher construction costs, the economic uncertainty concerning tariffs and jobs and interest rates are weighing down building in Ontario. Now, these factors are outside the city's control, but our planning staff and city council have been making internal changes to greatly reduce approval times and help get houses built faster. These process improvements remove barriers because every single day counts. Although the number of housing foundations poured in Guelph dropped in 2025, for developers, whether that's private or the nonprofit sector, they are clearly getting ready as well. Housing applications across many different stages are up. This data and the high pipeline volume indicate there is strong latent supply, and developers are ready to start building once the conditions stabilize. Fortunately, the Ontario government has been taking notice of the city's housing intentions. In April 2025, we broke ground on the Wyndham-Wellington Water and Wastewater Capacity Improvements Project to help unlock many new homes in our downtown.
Hi everyone, it's Kinga Surma, Ontario's Minister of Infrastructure. I'm in Guelph with the Mayor, Cam Guthrie. Today we announced $2.1 million that will help unlock approximately 2,000 homes. It's part of our $2 billion infrastructure program to build homes across the province of Ontario. What does this money mean to your community?
This is a game changer. Thank you so much for your leadership and the Ford government's leadership on this. You knowing that unlocking the infrastructure that's needed to then unlock more housing is so key to our communities, and by giving us this money, we're actually enabling this infrastructure to come on sooner, which brings on the housing units sooner, which we desperately need, and especially in our downtown core. So we can't thank you and the government enough.
So policy changes are also ensuring Guelph is ready to move forward with housing. In April, City Council approved the city's municipal service and financing agreements policy to accelerate residential development. Now, what does that mean? It means that these front-ending agreements let the builders fund and construct roads or the pipes in the ground, the sewers, up front for the housing projects before the city's fiscal capacity was able to proceed with that work. And then the city repays them later with the funds back once the housing is built. Now, additional dwelling units is also a key component to helping the city build our housing. As this graphic shows, these ADUs can either be located inside the primary dwelling structure, like a basement apartment as an example. They can be inside above in a garage, or a detached unit, completely detached, like a tiny house or a cottage house as they call it, in the backyard. The city has actually made two policy changes recently to these. First, they no longer require a development application and instead are processed right through a building permit to make the process faster and way less expensive for people. Second, an ADU grant program, which was supported by the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund, provides homeowners with up to $20,000 for each affordable unit being added to the property, and you can get an extra $10,000 on top of that if you want to make the ADU have accessibility features. So since most ADUs are smaller and they are a little bit less expensive to construct than a regular housing unit, they can contribute to the city's affordable housing rental supply. A total of 562 ADUs have been issued building permits in Guelph during the first two reporting periods of the Housing Accelerator Fund. Being set reflects the city's strategic preparation, allowing Guelph to act quickly and efficiently when an opportunity or challenge arises. Our community steps up when the federal or the provincial government steps back. Talking about additional dwelling units transitions nicely into highlighting the necessary innovations the city continues to do under its 10-year housing affordability strategy. This strategy supports the citywide 30% annual affordable housing target, nearly 1 out of every 3 homes. And it addresses affordability issues in the private market as well. So 2 years ago, I stood right here on this stage, and I declared my intention to use the Strong Mayor powers, or the Strong Mayor direction, to leverage underutilized city-owned lands to increase the supply of affordable housing in our community. And that direction is now resulting in action.
New affordable housing is coming to 14 Edinburgh Road in Guelph. Thresholds Homes and Supports is planning to build 13 deeply affordable and fully accessible rental units for seniors living with mental health issues.
We're pleased to be contributing city-owned land and $1.5 million towards this project.
This project will help give more people in the homes they need and deserve.
To learn more about this exciting project, visit our website today.
So this upcoming project is an excellent example of how the city can actually contribute to affordable housing in Guelph. It's exactly what I had in mind when I issued my mayoral directive. And I'm thankful for the federal government awarding the city $21.4 million under the Housing Accelerator Fund to help us fast-track housing with transformative and systemic change. In fact, the federal government selected Guelph as the city where they announced the creation of this Canada-wide fund. Guelph has a critical need for affordable housing, which is why our city council is boldly taking a more active role as well. For a long time, the convention has been for the city to create opportunities for housing rather than to build it. That isn't our traditional role, but now we are changing that. My 2024 mayoral direction was the first step on this new city-guided housing journey. Guelph is now moving forward with plans to actually build and own 12 new affordable rental units in the form of 3 fourplexes on underutilized land that we own on Normandy Drive and Eastview Road. The city is going to now work with a nonprofit partner to lease and operate the 3 buildings starting next year. So yes, some may believe that these unprecedented actions aren't necessary, but I completely disagree. They are a vital part of our response to the housing crisis that's currently threatening our city. Now, council has also endorsed proactive steps to protect the affordable housing that we have and expand the availability of rental housing in Guelph. The city created 2 new bylaws of its own to protect renters. First is a renoviction bylaw designed to protect tenants during major renovations. Now, I've got to tell a story. About 3 years ago, I was invited to a home. It was a new immigrant family that had just arrived here. Mom, dad, and 6 kids. And I was in their home. They actually invited me for dinner. It was really nice, so I had a dinner. And they said that they, unfortunately, were being basically kicked out of the place that they were renting. And they said that their landlord they were going to move in. And that's why. Well, that never happened. It was a lie. And so now they had to find another place to live, and they did, in the exact same townhouse complex that they were in. I could look out their window, and I could look in the corner, and they pointed to the house that they were going to be moving to, and it was $1,000 more a month. Think about that family trying to struggle with that. At the end of the day, that landlord never moved in. They just re-rented it at a higher amount. These are the types of stories that are happening in our city, and I hear them, and city council hears them, and then we act. The city is creating, as I said, these 2 new bylaws. And under this bylaw that I just talked to you about, landlords now must prove that the renovations are so extensive and unsafe that renters cannot stay during the work. And the second is that the rental replacement bylaw that ensures the number of affordable rental units are maintained and then provided as similar rents after any type of renovations are also complete. Additionally, the city will be assessing a new tax on homes that are left empty for 6 months or more, with the goal of encouraging owners to rent or sell unused homes to more people that can live with them. The Ontario government changed legislation to allow municipalities to leverage this idea. This initiative alone is expected to only impact about 50 homes in Guelph, not the thousands that some tried to suggest. It may generate up to $325,000 in annual revenue, and that money will now be reinvested right into the Affordable Housing Reserve Fund that we have. City Council is taking these steps in the absence of support from the provincial government. We are in a housing and a homelessness crisis, so we must step up where they are not. A recent report from the Association of Municipalities of Ontario shows that 85,000 Ontarians were homeless in 2025. This has grown 8% over 1 year, but it has grown 50% since 2021. Even under a projected steady economic scenario, homelessness in Ontario is projected to double over the next 10 years to 177,000 people. This number could possibly grow if there is an economic turndown by almost 300,000 people. I endorse the association's call to action to end chronic homelessness, and I stood with the other Ontario big city mayors when we collectively asked the province to declare a state of emergency in Ontario to address homelessness caused by addictions and mental health. There is a path forward here. It's what's possible when different levels of government actually choose to work together. Supported by the federal government and the Housing Accelerator Fund, the city is providing also $320,000 to Wyndham House to help Guelph become the first mid-sized city in Canada to end chronic youth homelessness.
So the Welcome to Waterloo project is a development project. The one side of the property is going to become a 10-bed, deeply affordable supportive housing program for youth. On the other side, it's going to be 3 transitional apartments. The housing connects them with wraparound supports, including case management, healthcare, and mental health support.
Projects like this are so vital, especially because we don't want youth in our community being homeless. They need that place. We're very blessed here in the community to have an organization like Wyndham House that is able to provide those supports.
I really hope that this project will help people feel a sense of hope that homelessness is a solvable problem, and we are getting closer in our community to ending chronic youth homelessness.
Thanks to the federal government for the Housing Accelerator Fund for making this project possible.
Together, we will end chronic youth homelessness. For more information or to get involved, visit our website today.
So these new youth beds at Wyndham House build upon the many other temporary and transitional and supportive units already now open. Grace Gardens, 10 Shalldale, 65 Delhi, 128 Norfolk, and many others on this slide that is shown. There are over 300 beds now available in Guelph for those who need these supports. And yes, the need is great. Being set means showing leadership and taking decisive action. At no time is this more important for the city than during budget. In April, I issued a mayoral direction to present options for lowering the city services portion for the 2026 budget. And I asked for 3 budget scenarios to be presented. The first was for a tax levy increase of no more than 2.5%. The second was for 3.5, and the third was for the existing 4.5, actually it jumped up a little bit, almost 4.6, already projected in the multi-year budget. I made it clear that this 4.5, almost 4.6 levy increase was unaffordable for our city, and it's not a viable option. But it was to be included, at least so we can see it for comparative purposes against the other 2 options that I asked for. Furthermore, I directed staff to review the non-tax supported budgets to identify opportunities to reduce the impact of increases on residents and businesses. Finance staff were to use prioritized criteria and evaluate budgeted investments and disinvestments, which included it had to have a focus on the creation of new housing units, it has to meet our legislative requirements, you got to look at risk, impact to the public, an equitable lens, and the council future Guelph strategic plan. I worked collaboratively with staff to achieve a realistic and responsible budget with a tax levy increase of 2.85% for the city's portion only. And after I presented that budget to council, the levy was amended to 3.36%. This 3.36% is less than the 3.66% from 2025. It's also 26% lower than the 2026 forecasted amount. This reduction didn't just happen. It took real dedication to strive towards the ideal of affordability and a lot of hours of work. And I want to just thank staff, many of them here, that did the hours of work for helping on that city portion of the budget. I continue fighting to keep Guelph affordable during unaffordable times. This final city services number is reasonable, and it is socially responsible, and I stand behind it. As you can see from the chart, however, after adding in the hospital levy, which no one thinks is a bad idea, by the way. In my view, we got to keep doing that. I'll talk about that another time. But after we add in the hospital levy and the 4.4% from the local boards and the shared services portion, that's where the tax levy increased to 7.87, which is actually a little bit higher than the overall projected amount. If we look at budget trends over the past few years, you'll see where the goal of affordability starts falling apart, and I am deeply concerned about this. For 2 years, I've issued mayoral direction, and the city service portion of the tax levy, those items that myself and council have direct control over, has decreased. It's decreased, but since 2021, the tax levy portion for all of the outside boards and shared services has steadily increased. Now, I need to clear something up here. Strong mayor powers are not applicable to these outside boards. I can only, by law, respectfully request that they keep affordability in mind. I cannot, no mayor cannot unilaterally cut their budgets. The largest proportional increase has been funneled to the County of Wellington Social Services at nearly a 25% increase, followed by the library and the police. The local boards and shared services have increased their total allocation of Guelph tax-supported funds from 32% in 2019 to almost 36% now in 2026. Now, let me be very clear here. I am not calling out these local boards for any bad fiscal management. In fact, there are legitimate reasons why some of these budgets are bigger. Councillors and I even sit on some of these outside boards. We don't have a majority position on those boards, but we sit there, okay? You see, municipalities are now forced to carry unsustainable additional property tax burdens that are directly related to provincial downloading. And this has to stop. This trend may not be unique to our province alone, but Ontario municipal property taxes are covering 1/3 of the program costs that are funded by the provincial governments elsewhere in our country. The consequences of further underfunding social issues to municipalities, specifically concerning mental health and homelessness, has a real human cost.
Municipalities across Ontario say they can no longer keep paying for programs that the province should be footing the bill for.
More and more we're seeing the downloading from the province of healthcare, childcare, and those costs are rising every year, and municipalities are bearing the brunt of that.
Chief amongst new municipal costs that they want help with, the growing houseless problem.
If we talk about socially and the homelessness situation that all municipalities are experiencing today, it is much different, and it looks much different than it did in 2008.
2008 is the last time the province changed or reviewed their funding model with Ontario's 444 municipalities, says McNeil. Continued downloading has led to $4 billion in programs that municipalities say they're paying for that the provincial government should be.
Well, it's that $4 billion number, right? That's being borne by property taxes that can't be sustainable and isn't sustainable. So we need to look at ways that the province can fund that $4 billion gap.
I thought it was important to show that this wasn't just a Guelph issue, which is exactly why I put that video in there. This is an all across Ontario issue. Now, my use of the strong mayor powers to reduce the tax levy was essential. If we had simply accepted the 2026 budget forecast, taxes would have gone up by over 9%. In 2025 alone, it would have been over 10%. There is a time and a place to use strong mayor powers responsibly. I will continue to issue those mayoral directions to build the city stronger, to create more housing, and to reduce unnecessary delays. So, taking that all into account, what do we do? Like, okay, thanks, Cam, for telling us what's going on, but what do we do? Do we just throw our hands up in the air and say that we're satisfied with this unsustainable direction? Are we going to continue having like large increases like this? The answer is no. It is no. There are many steps we will take to get these budgets under control. This isn't an option. It is a necessity. As I publicly announced earlier this month, I am exploring different oversight, alternatives, and governance models for working with these outside local boards and shared services on their budgets. Also, the city will continue to look internally at cost-saving measures, including audits, service reviews, lean programs, continuous improvement initiatives that we are already doing, by the way, and more. And one more important thing. In my view, council absolutely cannot have new operational expenses continually being added at an unsustainable pace. We need to manage what we currently have, not adding and adding and adding. I am committed to being laser focused on this along with my council colleagues. Okay, let's get back to housing. There are many amazing housing projects and community projects underway right now, and they're coming online in the next few years. Look at this slide here. It includes the Guelph Innovation District with Fusion Homes. It includes the WC Wood Plant redevelopment, the Doe Lime Quarry lands, the Clare Maltby District, the downtown housing, stacked towns on Gordon Street that are coming up, and more. I think that's with Reeds. So to help Guelph get set to meet the aggressive provincial growth targets of 208,000 people by 2051, remember that. We have to grow by law to 208,000 people by 2051. We're about 150-ish right now. By law, all those people have to be here. We have to encourage all types of housing development. It's crucial. The city's community planning permitting system is an example of these innovative approaches. Now, right now, we have one in the Emberough Road area.
Guelph is taking a bold new step in tackling housing affordability by trying a new tool intended to improve the development approval process called a Community Planning Permit System, or CPPS. The city is exploring implementing a community planning permit system in the downtown and Stone Road, Edinburgh Road areas to streamline the development approval process and increase housing supply. This innovative tool combines zoning bylaw amendments, minor variances, and site plan approvals into a single, more efficient approval process. By streamlining the application process, a CPPS speeds up approvals for development projects, enabling housing to reach the market more quickly. A CPPS can be used to secure community benefits such as affordable housing, parkland, public art, and community facilities. A CPPS for downtown and Stone Road, Edinburgh Road areas will help the city accommodate future growth while supporting our goals for transit-supportive development, active transportation, and housing affordability.
So as I said, the Edinburgh Road CPPS is already in place. We are currently in the draft phase of the downtown. And I will just state that we're hearing some issues with that. We had a good open meeting about that one, about how it will actually work. And our staff are working really hard in regards to the one in the downtown to come back with something that maybe council and the community can get around. And so we'll just see how that comes back, but we hope that these types of policy tools will help. We are also getting set in the downtown core to better accommodate growth. So in April, council passed a motion to allow for taller buildings in our downtown core, actually up to 24 stories in some locations. Downtown is a key growth area. Increasing building heights will create more homes faster. As many of you probably know, the Downtown Renewal Program is a massive undertaking by the city to redefine how downtown Guelph looks, feels, and functions. Century-old pipes, many of them are clay, need to be replaced, and we have a rare opportunity to rebuild the downtown even better. This infrastructure and transportation renewal will create the foundation for future prosperity, sustainability, and well-being for the next 50 years plus. Advanced utility work is already underway if you've been downtown, with significant reconstruction starting later this year. That will transform also St. George's Square, as this flyover rendering shows. This repair work is necessary. I know that the closure of streets downtown over the next 2 years will be disruptive to businesses and residents. This short-term pain will lead to long-term strength. And one of the focal points of our revitalized downtown will also be the Baker Street Library, with construction to be completed this fall, on schedule, and within budget. This impressive 88,000 square foot facility will feature state-of-the-art technology, interactive learning spaces, and promote exploration and creativity. It will have books too. Just to be clear, it's a library. As the cornerstone of the Baker's District redevelopment, this library is Canada's first standalone library to achieve the zero carbon building design standard from the Canada Green Building Council. Although the downtown is at a beginning of the significant transformation, key retail and housing developments are still proceeding. Hey everybody, I'm here with Joe from the Woodhouse Group. This was the entrance to the TD Bank downtown, but now check out what's happening here. So this building, the TD building, as everyone used to call it, how long ago did you end up purchasing it?
We purchased the building just before COVID.
Okay.
Originally purchased it as a bank building, hoping that it would be office at the time long term.
Okay.
And obviously that changed after the pandemic. City staff were super helpful. The process itself is quite complex.
Yeah.
So that support from city staff is super helpful, but it was quite the learning process to go through everything.
What should we expect here? You might not be able to say names, but what kind of tenants are coming in here?
So we're going to keep this retail,
Okay.
retail commercial. It's going to be kind of convenience, combination of convenience and restaurant.
Okay.
So hopefully, continues to add to the mixed use of downtown and that kind of urban fabric.
And we take the stairs?
We're going to take the stairs.
Okay, perfect.
There will be an elevator. With the nature of a bank building being a big box, you're left with kind of having to figure out how to design residential units.
Yeah.
Intentionally design them a certain way to function as a larger unit than the actual space would show.
Sure, okay, yeah.
So they're going to be fully furnished.
What used to be office, now residential. So the downtown is now going to have, how many more units are you guys going to be providing here?
So there's going to be 36 units.
Really? Okay.
18 per floor.
What used to be office is now going to be residential, which is one of the main issues of what we're looking to do in our downtown, is to invite this type of new type of development. More people downtown is a good thing for businesses. It's a great sort of option for people, especially near our transit station, the GO train. Everything's walkable, so it's wonderful to see this transformation in this part that used to be a bank and is now going to actually house people. That's really great.
So it's probably important to note, almost 25% of the units are accessible.
Okay, good.
This being one of them here.
Okay, good. That's great. So is it all on this floor, or is it going to be
both floors?
Both floors?
Everything's
Okay.
elevator accessible.
Yep.
Obviously, this is an existing building with no excess land, so
Yeah.
we're not able to provide parking, unfortunately. The province came in last year and basically anywhere within a major transit station, which
Yep.
this property is, has no parking requirement going forward.
no parking minimum
Just
standards?
they leave it up to kind of businesses and developers to kind of dictate the amount of parking needed for their building.
That's right.
I'm totally confident without having parking at a site like this, because it is so close to all the transit
I agree.
stations and everything.
I fully agree.
Willing to bet on that.
So readying policy and setting actions are coming together in the downtown and across the city like never before. And Guelph residents and businesses are going to reap the benefits this year and in the decades to come. Now also on time and on budget, people love to hear that, on time and on budget, to open in the fall is the South End Community Center. It's a 160,000 square foot facility with twin ice pads, aquatic center, double gymnasium, walking track, multi-purpose rooms, and much more. Sports groups have been saying for many years that there haven't been enough bookable recreational spaces in Guelph, and so this modern facility will go a long way in meeting those needs. Additionally, the facility's sustainable initiatives align with the city's community green energy goals. And speaking of sustainability, the city has released a new corporate climate action plan. Amazingly, although Guelph's population has actually been steadily growing, the city's energy use has actually dropped 17% since 2018, with more than 20% of that energy coming from renewable sources now. During that same time, our corporate per capita emissions has actually fallen by 11%. Now, one of the initiatives I learned about through my time on the Global Covenant of Mayors organization was the Youth Climate Action Fund Micro Grant Program. This fund provides cities with a grant to support creative and innovative ideas that are led by our youth to tackle climate change at the local level. The city has now distributed $106,000 to these youth initiatives over 2 rounds, and we have submitted an application now to participate in round 3 coming up. From a recycling education program to a bike loan project to community pollinator gardens and more, the youth of our city are getting engaged and making a real difference in our city. Guelph is also a safe city. Stats Canada released their 2025 Crime Severity Index and ranked Guelph now as the 6th safest city nationally, and it's the 3rd safest city in Ontario, a significant improvement from the ranking years ago. In particular, huge gains have been made in addressing human trafficking, child exploitation, and fraud. If you want to know why sometimes police budgets go up, it's because of the evils in our world, and we will not sit idly by and let that take a hold in our community. I want to give a round of applause to our police and the police board for what they do. We also have innovative local policing approaches that are so innovative. Trust me, I have mayors calling me saying, "What are you doing in Guelph?" So check this out.
Hi, I'm Helen Fishburne, the CEO at CMHA in Waterloo, Wellington.
Hello, I'm Jeff Stanlick, Director of Services at CMHA Waterloo, Wellington.
And today we are here to give a huge thank you to the Guelph Police Service for an incredible investment in our community. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Guelph Police Chief Gord Kobe for his leadership in landing this incredible investment for our community.
By funding 2 impact roles, out of the Guelph Police budget, it's really shown a massive commitment to supporting people who are downtown Guelph who may be struggling with mental health or substance use and poverty.
And we know it's much more than a financial decision. It's really just an incredible show of the importance of compassion and collaboration. We have an incredible partnership with the Guelph Police Service and really want to make sure that this investment allows us to reach more people with practical hands-on help and of course build hope into our community. And honestly, the timing couldn't be better. We're struggling in the mental health sector to reach the level of need that is present in our community. So thank you so much. The timing is great and it's going to really extend our reach.
We also want to thank Mayor Cam Guthrie.
A huge champion.
He's been a driving force behind this initiative, and his leadership and advocacy has really made this possible. So thank you, Cam.
So with this investment, it just continues to show the care and compassion that we have for our community.
Thank you, GPS and the City of Guelph.
Now look, Guelph is also fiscally sound. For the 4th straight year in a row, S&P Global Ratings affirmed the city's financial credit rating as AAA with a stable outlook, the highest possible rating. We will need this fiscal strength as we ensure and endure some harder times ahead. I see Guelph's economic vibrancy regularly as well at ribbon cuttings and business anniversary celebrations across the city. Even in these challenging times of economic uncertainty, I was invited to so many of these events along with my council mates over the last year. From restaurants to retail services, entrepreneurs are choosing Guelph and they're thrilled to open their places here because this is a great place to do business. Despite all of that great news though, Guelph, many businesses, especially manufacturing sector, is concerned by the uncertainty caused by American economic policies. Last year, the city launched a new trade and tariff resource hub with information to support local businesses through trade. Though trade is largely a federal issue, we can't sit idly by. The city is collaborating with all levels of government to advocate for protection of our local jobs and ensure the economic resilience we need. We, in Guelph, support local. As part of the city's outreach efforts, I have continued to visit our manufacturing businesses with Guelph's economic development team to check in, to support their achievements. I'm gathering data. I'm taking on some of the assessments and of their vulnerabilities, and I'm keeping regular communications open. Our factories and R&D facilities are vital to a healthy local economy, and it's important for me and the city staff to learn and to listen and to advocate to the upper levels of government on their behalf. Guelph is a great place to work, but it is also a great place to play. In 2025, Guelph Tourism invested $106,000 back into the community organizations and businesses for their tourism experiences. The Guelph Gather Here brand has been making a big difference in the city's tourism and economics. Check it out.
Come closer. Gather, connect, find your people. Every bite, every sip weaves a story of local pride and global flavors. There's a vibe here. Dance to the beat of your drum. Trails here can lead everywhere and nowhere. Guelph, a place where ideas are born and friends are made. It's all here. We want to welcome you. Gather in Guelph.
A big tourism focus, though, coming up will be next year, planning for Guelph's bicentennial celebrations in 2027. The working group has started, funds are in place, and next year the party will begin. This is Guelph's moment to celebrate what we've built, but also our recommitment to protect it. I'm also thrilled that the Guelph Storm will be hosting the 2027 Memorial Cup tournament right here in Guelph, and I'm sure everyone in this room is as well. Isn't that awesome? We're ready to make this an unforgettable event and the centerpiece of Guelph's bicentennial celebrations in 2027. Now, tying together both tourism and local economy, I want to give a massive shout out to the Downtown Guelph Business Association. They ran an amazing Spirit of the Season in this December. It was so great. It was held over 2 weekends now. The festival attracted a record number of visitors. It also helped raise over $34,000 for the Children's Foundation Keep Kids Fed at Home program. Wasn't it great? How many of you went? Let's show hands. How many of you went downtown? Yeah. How many of you at least saw it on Instagram? How about that? Yeah, everyone's hands, right? It was amazing. So thank you to the DGBA. Now, I've also always known that we live in a giving city, too. Guelph takes care of its own. And the Spirit of the City fundraising encouraged me to dig a little bit deeper, research-wise, into our residents and businesses, what they're giving to charitable organizations in our city. First, I want to highlight one of the largest fundraisers. St. Joe's $15 million Building Better Healthcare campaign has so far raised over $11.5 million towards that goal. That money is going to go a long way. The United Way 85th annual campaign reflects another significant effort. Although the final numbers won't be announced until later, I've been told it's over $2 million that have been raised, so way to go. Folks in Guelph have dug deep into their pockets to help out so many other amazing fundraisers as well. Though, let's acknowledge that charitable giving cannot and should not be substitution for government action. Here's a bunch of the 2025 charity fundraisers, rapid fire, with their approximate funding totals. You ready? Look at this. This is what our community is all about. Black Tie Bingo, $391K. Beyond Borders, $255. Once Upon a Time Gala, $230. Tour de Guelph, $226. Coldest Night of the Year, $221. Taste of Guelph, $200,000. Run for Cure, $181. The Royal Reach Gala, $130. Happy Tales Gala, $115. Salvation Army Kettles, $113,000. Masks Off Guelph, $90,000. Happy Trails Walkathon, $64,000. Big Night Out Gala, $50K. Spirit of the Season, $34K. Think Pink Game, $13,000. Santa Claus Parade Run, $11,000, and more and more and more. This is clearly a rallying cry to stand together. And that stand together rallying cry is not just rhetoric. Let's give all of these organizations in our community a huge round of applause for what they're doing to keep our community strong. Someone asked me just a couple months ago, hey, what was your favorite moment for 2025? And I immediately said, this. This crosswalk is very, very unique. Not a lot of communities have it. I'm glad that Guelph is one of the first few that has actually done this. And when this funding was put in the budget for this year, council did not blink an eye. They didn't ask a question because they knew it was the right thing to do. And this is a wonderful opportunity as people cross this area to just continue to think immediately. It's a reminder of the sacrifices that have been made. And it's a reminder for us to sort of center ourselves, I believe, on the things that matter and the perspectives of what we are as a city and as a country as well. This is the type of placemaking opportunities we have to do in our community as well. The person leading, going across that crosswalk, I don't know if you saw, was William Seafried, who was just over 100 years old, a World War II vet. And I talked about him off the cuff like I am right now in my Remembrance Day speech to the city. And we just found out, I think about a month ago, that he passed away. And his daughter said that him walking across that crosswalk, leading all the other veterans, was just a highlight. And so, these little things matter in our community, and we can't forget these little things. It's really what binds us together. We are ready to prepare. We are set to act, and Guelph is ready to lead. And we are leading. We are ready, and with the right people in the right positions who have crafted the policies and the action to help us have our city move forward. We are set to build upon strong relationships with external partners, to get housing built, to maintain a strong fiscal position, and to support those in need in our community that need a hand up and access to the social resources that are required. We have the foundation. We have each other. And we have no choice but to succeed. And yet, city actions alone won't solve these crises. There are strict limits on municipal powers, which is why there's an urgent need for action and partnership from the federal and the provincial governments. We can't simply request it. We have to demand it, that the provincial and the federal partners step up. We have all the puzzle pieces ready for us to put it together. Guelph has always faced challenges by relying on our greatest strength, which is each other. With all the economic and social uncertainty affecting our city and all of Canada, it certainly will not be easy. But the vision of Guelph as a vibrant, powerful, and compassionate city is worth fighting for. And I continue to be here fighting alongside each of you. Collectively, council, staff, community partners, we must come together at this critical time and take action. Because through unity comes strength. And we need to continue shopping at local businesses whenever possible to keep your hard-earned money in our city. In particular, I want to make sure we support our downtown businesses throughout its renewal so they can stay both open during the construction and succeed afterwards. We need to collectively advocate to upper levels of government through your MP and your MPP about the need for them to protect Guelph's most vulnerable people by taking immediate and dramatic steps to solve the mental health, addictions, and homelessness crisis. And if you can, contribute your money or time, or even better, community nonprofits and charities that reach out to support our neighbors in need. And be sure to hold City Council accountable to ensure it makes the right decisions for our city at this juncture, with multiple crises bearing down all at the same time. Getting ready and getting set can only take us so far. It's time for Guelph to go and to get things done. And I hope you'll be joining me. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here today.